First Sip Brew Box is a one-of-a-kind subscription service for craft beer lovers based right here in Pittsburgh. Every month, First Sip will send you a box full of craft beer enthusiast essentials, including t-shirts, glassware, and even food. Right now, our friends at First Sip Brew Box have an offer for you. Just sign up for a 3-month subscription and get your 4th month free. Just enter the code HOPUSA when you sign up at firstsipbrewbox.com. That's HOPUSA at checkout to get your 4th month free at firstsipbrewbox.com.
Woe to you, O earth and sea.
It's the Hop Nation
USA Podcast.
Welcome back, Hop Nation. It's episode 101, and guess what? We are not making a single reference to Dalmatians in this episode. We're talking beers. Actually, no, we're
just
not.
Did it?
We're not. That was.
You've lied twice within 5 seconds.
I'm setting the tone.
This is going to be a long hour and a half.
I know. So I, of course, am your host, Adam. Welcome, everybody. And you heard a couple other voices here. One is familiar. The other one is semi-familiar. The familiar one, of course, is Steve.
Hello, I'm here again.
You're not. This is not an internment.
Oh.
You're allowed to enjoy things here.
Oh, okay.
You're not an indentured servant.
Enjoyment is verboten.
And, of course, that other voice that you heard that was chastising me, and rightfully so, can't blame him one bit, is our special guest, Jason Cercone. Jason, welcome back.
What's up, guys?
Number 3.
Yes.
Yeah, appearance number 3.
Lucky number 3.
I don't think anybody's ever heard that.
I just made
Lucky
it up.
number 3.
I just made it up.
I think that's like a different culture. Like how the Chinese don't like 13, and
Yeah, that's fine.
I think 4 is a really bad number for them too.
Is it? I have no idea.
Yeah, I think 4 is a bad number.
I am not steeped in Chinese culture, I'll admit.
Yeah, well, if you know what culture is, then lucky number 3, email Adam and tell him what it is.
Is it possible we just set the podcast record for derailment?
Yes.
Within
Yes.
30 seconds?
Yes.
You are welcome.
Fantastic. Hope everybody's still listening.
We're 101 episodes in, Jason. We don't give a shit anymore. It just do as we please.
We hit the milestone. We're coasting from here
Just
on out.
phoning it in
Yeah.
from here on out.
Yeah.
All right.
Just waiting for MSNBC to pick us up, and we'll be good to go.
Well, this should be a fun episode. Glad to be here.
So, in the second line that I provided you, I said we were talking beers, and that is actually 100% false.
Yeah. Well, yes and no.
Uh-oh.
We're going to talk beer, but
Yes.
drink something else.
Yes. So, and that's why you're here, Jason.
Yes, well, that's one reason I'm here, but I'm happy to.
We'll take you for whatever reason we can
Spread-
get. I don't care. So, explain to the people what you brought with you tonight.
So tonight we are drinking 2 different meads and a cider from Kingview Mead. Kingview is a Pittsburgh product that is fermented in Pleasant Hills, Pennsylvania, right outside the city of Pittsburgh. All natural ingredients, gluten-free, tremendous alternative to craft beer. I started working with these guys at the turn of 2019, started repping their product with them along with the 4 breweries that I represent. So my job has been to get this product into as many mouths as possible throughout Pittsburgh, whether it's through sampling events or getting it into bars, whether it's delivered via bottle or via draft. Just trying to get this brand some great exposure. And for those of you that are familiar with Arsenal Cider and Apis Mead, this is another great local product that stands right beside those guys. And I've been having a lot of fun working with them. It's a tremendous product, and hopefully you guys will feel the same as we break into a few different liquids this evening.
I'm hoping so.
I think I can say yes. I'm safe to say yes.
Okay.
Unless Jason's brought us the worst of the bunch from them.
And I'd like to think that he
Yeah, that was my game plan.
I'm just saying, I've had a number of things from Kingview, so unless you really screwed up and brought us
Right.
bad batches.
And we've had stuff from Kingview on the show as well.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
if you go back to our first mead episode that we did, we had their orange draft.
Yes.
And boy, oh boy, that's just orange soda that gets you drunk. That's actually way better than that not your father's trash.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, that's when I break open a bottle of this at my house. I'm very hard pressed to not finish the bottle. I pretty much every time I've gotten a bottle from Scott, who's the owner, it's like, fuck, I'm just going to go to town on this bottle and feel no shame for it. No shame at all. It's just that freaking good.
So speaking of, we may as well crack this first one open.
Yeah, that's enough talk. Let's have something to drink.
Okay. So the first one that we got here is actually not a mead at all.
Yeah, we're going to start with the 4-Peck hard cider. This is the Pina Colada version, 6.5% ABV, and pretty much just tastes like a Pina Colada. So made with apples locally sourced from Trax Farm. Then you got your pineapple, your coconut. It's freaking outstanding, especially with spring right around the corner. This just screams summer. So I guess I will open this. Since I'm just being looked at like, what the
Well, what are you going to do about
Right,
it?
you want me to pour it and drink it for you too, sir?
Yes, please.
Gladly.
Whoever takes over the duty of introducing the drink has to open the drink. Them's the rules.
I didn't know these were hard and fast rules.
That's the way it's always been.
Listen, I've only been on 3 episodes. Give me a break.
So right off the bat, I'm going to remark the fact that this is watercolored. like
Wow.
It's completely clear. Like,
Yes.
this is not what I would expect from a pina colada cider.
No, it's definitely very light.
Yeah.
And easy drinking, but yes, it's very clear.
Yeah, it's completely clear. It's there's hardly any color. I expected it to be like hazy and yellow.
Nope.
Like you would expect it
Like
to.
I mean, I think in your mind you probably had this built up to be like a pineapple juice type of
Yeah.
look.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, absolutely not.
No.
So how about when you take it on the nose, makes up for the lack of-
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's pineapple-y. It's
It
you also get
smells
like
good.
a cider smell to it as well too.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
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 Now, for me, the pineapple is what really jumps out. Now, you get that hint of coconut in there, but for me, and I'm a pineapple nut, so the second I heard this was coming out, I was just like, yes, because anything pineapple, I'm all about.
So does that include on the pizza?
Yeah, I'll eat it on the
Yeah,
pizza.
my man.
Yeah. I all the hate for it.
I don't get
Fuck
it.
off, people. It's
Yeah.
good.
A Hawaiian pizza?
I mean, it's not something I'm going to eat every day, but there's lots of things that I won't eat every day.
Right.
But if you want to put ham and pineapple on a pizza and call it a pizza, I'm in. I'm
Let's
game.
make it happen.
And I think that would pair fantastically with this cider. Right?
I would say so. Also, maybe like a Cuban sandwich.
Ooh. Yeah?
I like a good Cuban sandwich
See, this is why we need to get sponsorship from a pizzeria
or a sandwich shop
or sandwich shop.
a hoagery.
Hookery.
So
That's a word I just came up with.
I like it.
this is going to be a Giant Eagle-based podcast anytime. You're just covering it. Market District will be all over this.
Send skippers.
Well, yeah, I guess we could, can't we?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Send skippers or the captain.
Well, I'll say, I mean, and that's it for those of you listening in the Pittsburgh region, we have Kingview Mead at pretty much every market district across the city, and then a few other stores as well.
JR's.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I see it at JR's all the time.
Absolutely. So, yeah, jump out and you can grab a bottle of mead or cider right off the shelves at Giant Eagle and many other locations across town.
Yeah.
This might really plug.
I think I've seen them at House of Brews too.
Yes, they are there.
Yeah, yeah.
Because for the podcast, the first mead episode, that's where I picked up the Kingview.
Oh, okay.
So,
Fair enough.
yeah. I will confirm that.
Okay.
And so will my bank account.
I got receipts.
I got receipts for everything.
Yeah. But yeah, back to the cider. It's really good.
Yes.
It has that nice pineapple flavor to it. It's got a nice. It's not a dry finish, but it finishes quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It
And it invites you back in for more.
yeah.
Yeah, because I'm already hammering through this taster,
Yeah, me too. It's-
admittedly.
No, I know, and I know there's some ciders in the world that are so sweet that you're just like, it's so off-putting that you don't want to come back to it for that third, fourth sip. This stuff is just simple, easy drinking the whole way through.
It's sweet without being teeth rotting.
Right.
Teeth-rottingly sweet.
Yeah.
There you go.
But and then I was also thinking about like the Fighting Alec by Arsenal.
Arsenal.
That's a super dry cider. So like this isn't like that either. It's just like right in the middle of real drinkability.
As noted by the levels in our glasses.
Right as it just gets pounded.
Yeah, all three
down.
of us are pretty much crushing these. Yeah. Well, here, before we jump into other topics, let me refill for you guys.
You will hear no complaints from me.
Like I said, once the bottle gets cracked, there's no leftovers.
I'll say I don't necessarily get a whole lot of coconut, but it doesn't bother me that I'm not getting that.
Well, you're not a coconut fan, right?
Yes, I am. Absolutely.
No, don't lie.
I think also part of the problem is I've been drinking coconut LaCroix like all
what
week.
the hell is wrong with you?
Fuck you guys and your pineapple pizza.
No, but I hate
Coconut LaCroix is pretty good.
I hate LaCroix.
How did you get
brutal
into a LaCroix kick?
I don't know. I just like seltzer anymore.
Okay.
It's like I don't know. It still gets the bubbliness, but I don't have I don't know the reflux
I get that.
from like drinking pop.
I get that. Go with Schweppes once in a while. They got a good raspberry lime.
Okay.
There you go.
Check it out.
Top tip of the day.
So this should be for the Pop Nation USA podcast that you guys are doing now.
I don't know what that's about. I don't know if somebody was listening to an alternate dimension on April 1st. All right. Well, now that we're done talking about other drinks, let's go back to beer.
Yeah.
Let's go to news and notes.
And neat.
So I'll start us off with just a quick little note and neat.
Mm-hmm.
Levity wins again.
Did they really?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, they won. They won again at the breweries in PA. March Madness bracket.
So congratulations to them.
Yes,
Yeah,
indeed.
They trounced Dancing Gnome
Oh, did they really?
in the finals. Yeah.
And that's, I work with Levity Brewing very closely, and I talk to those guys about it. And I think a lot of it comes down to that community appeal and the strength of their brand in Indiana.
Yeah.
They have a lot of backers in that region. And I heard about how many different businesses that support Levity rallied to vote for them.
That's
and
awesome.
provide them with the votes. And I mean, that's when you look at this thing. I mean, I understand those guys made it for fun, but you've got to have your coalition come out for you,
Right?
Yeah.
and put in the time to put in the votes. I don't know how often they voted, but I do know that the support in the Indiana and surrounding communities is very strong for Levity, and in Pittsburgh too.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
And I voted for Levity over Dancing Gnomes.
I thought it was awesome that we had two Western Pennsylvania breweries in
That's
the
a
finals.
right.
Yeah, that's
that was
another,
badass.
The fact that they're beating out Tired Hands and
Yeah.
Pizza Boy.
Pizza Boy. What's one of the other newer Philadelphia ones that was in? It's getting a lot of
A lot of buzz.
A lot of buzz.
Well, Levante had made it pretty far, right?
Yeah, I think Levante made it pretty far. Yeah, that's who I was thinking of.
Yeah. I mean, there were some solid breweries in the whole tournament, as always. I mean, again, I think it shows the strength of what's happening in Pennsylvania. So, again, it's one of those things that, depending on how seriously you take it, that's your decision to make.
Right.
But at the same time, it shows how each of these breweries, how much support they have in their communities and the fandom that they've gained. And I thought it was really cool to see Levity come out on top for, they've done it 2 years, and Levity's won it both years. So
Yeah.
I was going to ask them if they were going to get Duke jerseys just because they're becoming the dynasty. But no, good stuff. Congratulations to those guys.
Bulls jerseys.
There you
Yeah,
go.
right.
Next.
So who's gonna have the Rodman hair? That's what I want to know.
Oh, that'll be Eric. Yeah. He'll love that.
So I got another short news story.
Okay.
It's a developing story, but Steve was right.
After-
Brewdog is opening a brew pub in Pittsburgh.
I saw that in the East Liberty areas where they were looking.
Yeah, they're looking at I think it's the East Bond complex.
Is that news? I thought they talked about that a while ago.
I think the location is what's new
Right.
about it.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. I think it was announced in March. They announced a couple cities in March: Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, obviously, Cincy, Brooklyn, and Toronto are all going to be home to new Brewdog brew pubs.
Okay.
So
Nice.
yeah, so they all met the 500 backer equity for punk thing, and then I guess they're now looking. I found it on Reddit, but there's like a zoning meeting for the East Bond building complex.
And that was an old department store, if I remember correctly.
Think so.
Okay.
Or an ice cream shop. One of those two. I don't hang out on Shady
I
Side.
don't either.
It makes me wonder when this is going to start happening in reverse, because we're seeing a lot of breweries. This seems to be the new thing. A brewery establishes their brand in a certain area of the world, and then they find another popular area and open a brewery. We're seeing Platform taking that step. Sly Fox is coming to Pittsburgh to do it. Now we're hearing Brewdog.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's not the end of it, but I wonder who will be the first Pittsburgh brewery to take that step to start looking at another market, and when would they be able to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. We've talked about that before because when we're talking about breweries in Pittsburgh that are just getting their satellite location.
Yeah.
So like Grist House is opening it's going to be like a massive facility.
Right. I can't wait
huge.
for that to open up.
Yeah. So, but
I toured that facility. It's enormous.
Oh, I believe it.
Enormous.
Yeah.
That just means room for more dogs.
So much room for
More
activities. Activities.
I'm going to pet every dog in there.
There's going to be a rock climbing wall. But yeah, everybody seems like they're opening their second location within Pittsburgh.
Right.
I mean, technically, I guess we could say Voodoo if we wanted to count them.
It seems like the ones that are opening in Pittsburgh are almost out of necessity because they need the room to brew more capacity, more volume.
Strange Roots was the same way.
Yeah.
Strange Roots, Hitchhiker. Everybody's opening for capacity in Pittsburgh. So, I don't know. Maybe it's just like it takes that extra step because they had so limited room when they opened.
Right.
They have to get their second location before they can get their outside market location.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Something to think about. That's more rhetorical than anything.
Right, yeah.
But I think it's pretty cool that there's some breweries that are ready to take that next step.
Yeah. It'll be in the next 2 to 3 years that that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If I had to put money, I think it's one of the three that is always in the top that we talk about is Grist House, Hitchhiker, or Dancing Gnome.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who knows? They may not even have that front of mind. They're very successful with the operations that they're building. They may just want to stick to local and blow it up like they have been.
Yeah.
So,
the one thing is kind of interesting versus like the couple that you mentioned about like Sly Fox and Platform. Like Platform kind of makes sense because they just kind of I think they've already taken space in all 3 Ohio cities. So it seems kind of natural.
It's a natural progression,
that they come to Pittsburgh next. Brewdog is interesting because they just have like tons and tons and tons.
They'll just spread like a virus.
I think it's up to like 70 or something brew pubs that they have across the world.
yeah.
So like America is the new market for them. So yeah, it's insane.
Good beer too, so it all works out. I
Right.
think that's as long as it's good liquid, it's gonna
It'll
go
sell.
far.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what I have. But Jason's here, so we had him bring something in. Something we haven't talked about, and we're not really going to have a chance to any other time. So
Really?
no, we had interviews in the past. We got interviews coming up.
Okay. Fair enough.
This is kind of the one time we get the chance to rag on this and then forget about it.
Well, full disclosure, I mean, I went back and forth on this since we were going to talk about news in the first segment. When you told me earlier last week that's what we were doing. I don't know if this is news. That's how I look at this, what I'm going to bring up. The Pittsburgh Craft Beer Week conversation that's happening right now.
Yeah.
There really was no talk of anything happening until whoever's running their social media right now went on their page and said, hey, do what you do every day and celebrate how awesome Pittsburgh's craft beer scene is. And then that just created this shitstorm of negative comments, and that's where I pretty much watched that fire from afar and just watched people fan the flames. It was never being planned in the first place, so how could it be canceled?
Right.
Was the first thing I said. If there had been active movements towards making it happen in 2019, and then they said, well, nothing could come together, so we're done, then okay, that's a cancellation.
Right.
This was just ignorant fucking posting on your social media, as you know, and the conspiracy theorist in me wants to say they did that on purpose to stir up conversation and shitstorms about what can come next. Can anybody resurrect this? And that's what I'm saying. Then the Breweries and PA guys jumped on it, and as much as I like those guys, that was almost like gotcha journalism to me to jump on that and then put the question of who's going to step up and save Pittsburgh Craft Beer Week. And that was where I got a little frustrated / infuriated because, I spent a year and a half trying to build an alternative.
Right.
And guess what? It didn't pan out. And I will be the first to admit that it did not reach the levels of success that I wanted to. And of course, I'm referring to Pittsburgh Libations Week. It went through. It happened. We got through the week. We were able to raise some money to kick to our charity partner, which I was proud to do once we were all done with the whole fiasco. I say that tongue in cheek, but at the same time, it was what it was. I think that, it taught me a lot. It taught me that I'm older than I was 5-10 years ago, and being out 10 straight days is not exactly something I can do in the same fashion. But again, it taught me how much hard work goes into building something like that. And that's where I think, the frustration for me lies in an alternative was offered where the community came around it to some degree, but really not to the degree that would make it want to move forward or make us want to move it forward. But so many people tried to step up to help Craft Beer Week.
Right.
And I'm not exaggerating when I say dozens of people that truly cared about that mission and what it stood for and what it should have been, tried to lend help to that to that organization, and the people that ran it didn't want to listen to any of it. And that's where eventually you just say, fuck it.
Right.
Well, and that's where when I hear people criticizing all the people that are bashing it, this is why they're bashing it. Because so many people tried to help, and no one wanted to take that help. They felt they had the answers. They didn't. And you've watched it degrade year after year. And to the point now where it's like, let it rest in peace.
It's ran its course.
It's ran its course. The Pittsburgh beer scene, if you want to bring it back to what we were talking about with the bracket tournament, you had 2 breweries from Western PA. It says a lot about how good this is. That's a very small example, but at the same time, it speaks volumes to what's happening here on a daily basis. Breweries are releasing great beers. Can releases are happening weekly. You can line up anytime you want and get good cans. If you're not a line person, you can show up later, and chances are you're going to get something that you can take home to enjoy from a local brewery. Events are happening. There's so much good that's going on that entity didn't really participate in the growth of craft beer in this town, and I don't think it ever can. That's not to say that something new can't come along that would help rise I hate the term, the rising tides lifts all boats. I hate that term. It's like ugly sweaters. When you say it and see it too much, it's no longer cool. But I hear that phrase a lot in regards to the craft beer scene, and there's definite truth to it. I feel like there's, as it stands now, if the people that are mad at the people that are bitching about it, this is why, and it just needs to go back underneath the carpet where it was hiding before the stupid post a month ago or a few weeks ago, whatever it was. And that's it. And that's it. Let it go.
Just let it fade out.
Let it fit. Yes. Let's honor the dead the way we should and move on to bigger and better things. And like I said, I'll be the first to admit that I was tired of talking about it, and I wanted to step up and try to do something different. And again, there was some degree of success, but to keep it going, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of people, and it takes the right mindset. And I think right now the mindset in Pittsburgh is that we've got a lot of cool things that are happening on individual levels and even on collective levels. Pittsburgh is home to Fresh Fest.
Right.
And that's groundbreaking shit. Pittsburgh has Beers of the Burg, which happens twice a year, which is a tremendous celebration of local beer. Those are just 2 happenings that are going on in Pittsburgh. So there's a lot that's happening that where you add another 10 days. That was the fundamental question I asked with Libations Week. What can we do that's different, that stands out above everything else? We didn't answer that question. I didn't answer that question. And I'm not ashamed at all to admit that, because I don't know if there is an answer to that question, because it's a lot of people doing cool shit out there right now.
Right.
And I am proud to be a part of the scene, as every beer drinker in this town should be. With or without beer week. So to hear that, Pittsburgh doesn't have a beer week, big fucking deal. We really haven't had one in the last few years that we can be proud of. So let's just be proud of what we do have and run with that.
And that's the sentiment that I've had, is saying the last few years we haven't really had much.
Right.
From my perspective, last year, the only thing that I did was Steve and I went to go grab some pizza to go grab 1 or 2 beers at Caliente.
Yeah.
And that was just a Saturday afternoon thing, just a...
we were just there to taste all the collaborations.
Right, exactly.
And that's the one thing I actually liked about Pittsburgh Craft Beer Week. And if you bring it back in some way, I think that should kind of be the focus. And focus maybe more. So the way Fresh Fest, they do collaboration beers, and all their collaboration beers are pairing a brewery with a black-owned business, and that's to promote both the brewery and the business. It's to draw your attention that there are these businesses in Pittsburgh.
Right.
I think you could do the same thing with Craft Beer Week. You don't have to have, the fucking exorbitant tastings, the stout tastings, the Utopia events.
$20 an ounce.
Yeah, you don't need all that shit. If you just pair a couple businesses with a couple breweries and you release a beer for a week, that's, and brings your attention to a Pittsburgh business, I think that would be just fine.
Right.
You don't have to go all out with a bunch of events and shit. But just saying, hey, here's beers, and here's a story behind that beer.
Right.
Yeah, I think the big push, at least when you look at marketing from past beer weeks, was quantity over quality.
Yeah.
We have over 300 events. Well, as a beer drinker, that's super. How many of those can I attend? 9?
Yeah,
Right.
maybe
10 on the weekend. I
And
might
that's
be able to hop a little bit, but
Right. If you focus, you can get there.
yeah. But then when you go back and look at those, how many of those were actual events? Because you had some places listing their happy hours, which
Right.
happen every day, which goes back to what I said. What are you going to do that's different, that stands out?
Yeah.
And you're saying, Steve, like with businesses partnering up, I still think you're seeing that on many levels. I mean, think about when the Brewers Guild launched their website and their guide. They all collaborated.
Oh yeah,
And I know in talking with those guys that and I agree with them. If you do collaborations too much, it's overkill.
Right.
And if it's the same as probably the strongest example I can think of is pumpkin beer. Pumpkin beer was the shit when it was out 2 months a year.
Yeah,
Well,
now it's out end of July.
Every brewery, every brewery has one, and it comes out and it ends up sitting on shelves for 6 or 7 months, and it's just not as special. And when things are made less special, it's just not as fun.
Right.
And people lose interest very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
So fake news, hashtag fake news.
Yeah, I'm of the mind that we have so many things going on, we don't need it. We don't need it back.
No.
But I think if somebody wanted to tackle it to bring it back in some way, the Brewers Guild would be the good.
I agree, because
Yeah.
again, I mean, the hardest, or probably not the hardest, let me go backwards. The biggest issue that they had with the development and evolution of Beer Week was the fact that they started it when there was not many local breweries in existence. You could probably count the number of local breweries on a hand and a half. As it grew, as Beer Week grew or continued going forward, more breweries opened up, and they were never able to find a way to have a happy medium between wholesalers and local breweries.
Right.
And the pendulum swung from one side to the other so swiftly that now they burnt the bridges with the wholesalers. Well, then when they had only the local breweries dependent, they burnt those bridges. I mean, in a city of 446 bridges, they burn them all. Where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Who's going to support your cause?
You just die on the island.
And I know that a lot of the expenses that I don't know where the money went. I know that was a question that a lot of people asked. But I do know that some of that money was spent on some things that were pretty exorbitant that they probably could have cut back on. Not to go into great detail, but I know this was talked about in an open forum in a meeting they had. And I think that was where a lot of the problem was, is that, you want to have that wholesaler support because they do have more funds than a small local brewery. But you don't want to piss off your small local breweries.
Right,
At the same,
right.
You don't want to piss off the wholesalers either. The disconnect to me was just crazy. I was reading articles come out. I can't remember the publication, but they said Pittsburgh Craft Brew Week is canceled. This is the first time in 7 years the 7-day festival won't be happening. First of all, it's Craft Beer Week. Second of all, it's been 10 days since year 2.
Yeah.
So the disconnect between media and their organization,
Right.
huge.
Yeah.
So this all ties together, and it snowballs into something that just at the end of the day does not work. So I don't think we should be crying in our beers about what can we do to save this.
Or in this case, our ciders.
Right. And I-
I'm not. My tears have been shed, brother. I'm just enjoying some good drinks with you guys and speaking my piece.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to cry into it because it's too good. I don't want to ruin it.
Oh, yours is already gone.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
you crushed yours. Actually,
Yeah,
I'm the
ours
only
are
one
gone.
still- This tells me I've been speaking too much on this segment. I'm the only one with liquid left.
It's good insight. You've definitely had a deeper connection, being that you did put on Pittsburgh Libations Week,
Right.
and that you put it on in opposition to Pittsburgh Craft Beer Week.
No, not necessarily. Opposition's a strong word. I think that my goal,
Alternative.
Yes, my goal is to, hey, if you guys don't like this, maybe you'll like this.
Right.
And this is also going to incorporate the spirits of the world and the ciders and meads of Pittsburgh and wines and get everybody involved.
Right.
And again, I wanted to take a stab. I'd rather have it go the way it did and say I tried than to always sit there wondering.
Right,
Because
right.
to me, if you don't try, you're never going to know if you can find success with shit like that. And again, end of the day, I don't think it was a failure. I just don't think it was at it didn't hit the level of success after its first year where I could comfortably say this is worth going after going forward. I'm more of a beer guy.
Right.
I was looking at big picture. But I think my strength is more with beer and what we can do in that industry. I'd love to see a successful beer week for the right reasons at the right time. But at the same time, I love what we have going on, and I just keep riding that wave while we can.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'll quench my thirst, I'll be honest.
Just like this 4-pack hard cider.
The segue is strong with this one.
This Pina Colada cider is a killer. This is
beautiful.
Yeah. We talk a lot about tailgate beers. I don't think we've ever said tailgate cider, but I will right now.
This feels like something that you would have, like, say, a Kentucky Derby.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good call.
When you're feeling a little, not necessarily fancy,
Right.
but feeling up. A good spring day.
Well, yeah, but this bottle is a little fancy.
It is a little fancy.
It's got like a nice weathered label. It comes in a big bottle, So yeah, you can pour these out and feel real fancy.
Wear a big hat. But the one thing I wanted to mention is, Steve, you had mentioned that there was not much coconut going on.
Yeah.
There is a lot of coconut on the back end and the aftertaste.
Well, and it's there when it warms up too, because again, I have more left than you guys do.
I
because
didn't
you're
give it a
empty.
chance.
But you get to me as it warms up. Again, these aren't the drinks that I usually let warm up because I just crush them so damn fast. But I'm getting a little bit more coconut now than I was on the front when it was nice and cold, right out of the fridge. But fuck yeah.
Like
Love
I
this
said,
one.
I'm burned out on coconut from La Croix, so
You did it to yourself.
yeah, I did to myself.
Yeah, you're drinking La Croix. What the hell's wrong with you?
I love it.
Take your kids to soccer practice first.
In your Toyota minivan.
I don't like getting ganged up on. Segment's over. Join us May 11th for the 3rd annual North Hills Home Brew Fest at the Pittsburgh Shrine Center Picnic Pavilion.
Home brewers from around the area will be featuring their best beers for you to taste while competing for the grand prize of having their beer brewed and served at Penn Brewery.
The event will feature raffles, auctions, painting with a twist,
Food from Vagabond Tacos and Oakmont Barbecue,
a live home brewing demo by Kegel Brewing.
and a live podcast by us, Hop Nation USA.
Tickets are $35 for VIP, $25 for general admission, and only $5 for designated drivers.
Proceeds go to benefit the Shriners. Purchase tickets, or if you're a home brewer, get your entry form at SeriousShriners.org. Just click on the events tab, and we'll see you on the 11th. Welcome back, Hop Nation. This is episode 101.
Yeah,
Yeah, how neat is that?
yeah. We're out of sport references.
So I was thinking about that. Do I just round back down? Do I just get rid of the one?
Nah, see, I think that's what Drinking Partners does. So I don't know if we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think this is just your most basic episode ever. 101.
Yeah.
101, yeah.
It's our basics
Hop
of
Nation
mead.
101. Yeah.
We'll do basics of mead. This segment that certainly wasn't planned ahead of time.
Oh, then this should go real well.
So, of course, we are talking non-beer on our beer podcast. We had ourselves a cider. Now we're getting into something a little bit different. So we'll kick it back over to our guest here, Jason. What the hell are we drinking?
We are tapping into the Happy Apple Pie Mead from Kingview. This is my favorite mead, I can comfortably say. The other mead that we'll do in the third segment is probably 1A. But literally liquid apple pie in your mouth. That's what you're going to experience with this. It is freaking tasty as all hell. Again, all natural ingredients. This mead is known as a Cider,
Okay.
which is a mead that contains the honey and water and apples, of course. And again, just very straightforward in regards to the description of this. If you're an apple pie fan, this is the type of mead you'd want to enjoy the hell out of. So, you guys are just looking at me again, so let me pour for you. What's the butler salary here for the show?
It's double Steve's.
Yes.
What the hell is that?
Zero.
Is that like a Shroot buck?
Sure is.
Don't want to earn Shroot bucks?
We'll pay in Stanley nickels.
You don't want to earn Shroot bucks?
No.
So, Steve, I think we've been tricked again.
This one actually...
Well, you could see through the bottle. What do you mean tricked? What'd you expect?
Listen, I've only been doing this for 101 episodes.
Yeah.
Jason's just been soaking like fruit in water.
Yeah. Again, come on to promote one of the brands that I represent and talk about how... instead of... Nah, I got nothing. I got nothing.
Punt.
Yeah, abort.
Yeah, again, this is super clear, but this one does have a little bit of a tinge to it.
It does.
It does have some coloration.
A goldish tinge.
Yes.
Just a little bit. So it passes the eye test for you guys? I know the other one didn't.
It passes the eye test of there's something actually being there.
We had to immediately move on. Well, I know it's not Coconut LaCroix, but let's...
Coconut LaCroix is completely clear. That's why.
God. But you get nice apple aroma and cinnamon as well.
Yeah, that nose is really good.
Yeah, I can already tell that I would like this around a campfire.
It's like spiced apple pie. It's not just apples. It's cinnamony. I get all that.
I'm going to go ahead and stop talking about it. I'm just going to drink it.
Yes, I'm already halfway done. Like, you guys fuss too much. Just drink your shit.
We have to do it for the audience because they can't see.
That's a valid point.
We've picked a very visual thing to do on an audio format.
All right, taste test. What do you guys think?
That's good.
Yeah. That belongs next to a campfire, no doubt.
This is one that I think, with fall, it's the ultimate pairing. I think Thanksgiving when I drink this.
Yeah.
Like, you could have this right alongside Thanksgiving, but at the same time, I think this also goes well with a brunch, or a breakfast. Ooh. And I am not at all ashamed to admit that I have had, rolled out of bed and made eggs and bacon and had some happy apple pie mead as my beverage of choice.
Yeah, that would go well with it.
It's great.
I would suggest cream cheese crepe.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
All right, cooking with Steve.
Yeah.
And mead.
I'm just saying, usually, because sometimes I'll do crepes with either cherries or apples, or cinnamon apples. Mm-hmm. Skip the fruit part, just keep the cream cheese, and then you use this.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. All right.
I know how to get drunk in the morning. Don't give me no trouble.
No trouble at all, mister.
But this would definitely go really well with Thanksgiving, too. Mm-hmm. This would, Ooh.
Is it safe to assume that this is available all year round?
Yes, it is. This is one of the year-round offerings.
Yeah, so a little different from the pineapple cider, and I think maybe it's because we're into the mead. It's a mead blend, but it's a little dry on the finish.
It is, but it still has a nice smoothness to it.
Yeah, it still has a nice smoothness to it. I think what's also interesting about the finish is that, it feels almost like you can taste the cinnamon powder just a little bit. It's cinnamony on the back of my tongue.
I think I see what you're saying. It doesn't have a cinnamon powder feel to it.
No.
Okay. Gristle or not gristly, but grainy or
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm not finding that at all.
Yeah, but it's just right on the back of your tongue. Mm-hmm. The same way if you took in a little bit of cinnamon powder or cinnamon sugar.
Yeah.
It has that just on the back of your tongue, a little bit of spice.
I'm just going to drink my shit. This is really good.
All right, we're 2 for 2.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
for sure.
That's a no doubter.
So, we are into episode 101, and we just happen to be doing mead this week. And I decided that we should just do a little bit more of a deep dive into mead.
Okay.
I believe if you go back to our original mead episode, which we also featured Kingview, but we also featured Apis and Crafted out of Ohio.
Yes.
I believe in that episode we talked history.
A little bit.
So this episode, I just wanted to talk more about style and ways to brew, essentially.
Now, is it considered a brew when you make mead?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's considered a brew because, you can find it on the American Homebrewers website, and you can enter it into homebrewers competitions. It's still a brew.
Okay. All right.
A couple of the styles, though, Jason already mentioned Cider. So Cider is when you take a mead and you blend it with either apples or hard apple cider or just regular apple cider. Any kind of combination of that, you get a Cider.
And if you take a tooth and throw it in the bottle, it's an incisor.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. Canceled the whole fucking show. 101 episodes, ladies and gentlemen. They had a great run.
He wasn't even prepped for that one.
That was so...
It just came right off. Oh, my God.
I'm waiting for, like, your two kids to come running in and ask if they can play with the equipment.
Buckets.
Dad jokes for days.
Ay.
But I know, I think I've said this before. I did the Drinking Partners podcast, and we're here, the three of us, and that joke didn't hit in the room. But you've got listeners out there that might have been like, "Oh, like." The accountant from Parks and Recreation.
Oh, yeah.
Ted, you gotta hear what Adam just said.
I'm pretty sure that joke's going to hit exactly the way it should, and just everybody cringes back or takes their headphones off for a second.
Yeah, you got to add in the cricket sound effect when that one hit.
It's worth it.
It's going to hit exactly the way it should.
With a thud.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, to recover.
I don't know if we can, bro. Good luck.
Let's see you make a pun out of this one. If instead of apples, though, you decide to use grapes or grape juice, it's actually called a piment.
So that's when you take a regular apple pie and you put some mint on top of it.
That one was too much of a stretch.
Damn it.
Nope.
Listen, it was on the fly. I'm trying
I know.
here.
I don't.
That's the lesson in all of this.
Yeah, this whole phoning in thing is working out well.
Of course, we know braggots are when you're mixing malted beverages and mead together. You can use beer. You can use malt liquor, I guess. I haven't had a Colt 45 mead.
And I think they're... Oh, good God. Well, we do have a third segment here. You got a Colt 45 in the fridge. I think there's a certain... I'm going to botch this because I cannot remember it exactly, but I think there's a federal law that says that you have to be at a certain percentage of... Is it barley or water? I can't remember how this goes, but like technically, I think most braggots are illegal in America because they are not, to do it correctly, it goes against the federal regulations of what you have to do ingredient wise. And like I said, I don't know the exact numbers. This is just something that I had heard. I should probably have researched this, but I do know Kingview has done no braggots, so that's nothing that I've had to done any braggots, to use proper English. So it's not something I've ever had to fully look into, but I believe I've heard that before. And if anybody out there listening wants to correct me, Jason at breakingbrews.com. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't know how true that is, but I can see if it's like you can't use a certain amount over percentage, because I think a true braggot is like 51% mead and then 49% barley malted. But I think maybe the ones we see on market, like the ones from Flying Fish, Sam Adams, and technically the Dogfish Head Wood Age Bitches Brew is like a weird descendant of a braggot in a way, but those all have blends, and I think those blends are less than there's less mead than there would be barley and water. So I think, but yeah, we can look into those laws and see what's up with that. But yeah, America always gets weird when you try to blend alcohol for some reason.
Oh, it's the almighty dollar, my man.
Screw that.
Yeah, fuck capitalism.
Fuck capitalism. We're not trying to make any money off this, are we? But if you want to get into something that's truly like a show mead, and that's the name of it, show mead.
Okay.
This is no adjuncts.
Dude, no Jerry Maguire references after this is done.
No.
Thank you.
No.
Yes, we'll curb that real quick.
I learned my lesson on the last one.
I can see how quickly that can devolve. But yes, a show mead it's just water, honey, and yeast.
Simple.
That's just letting honey do its work. And, because when bees, make their honey, they grab pollen from different flowers. You can adjust flavors that way by depending on what flowers they've brought their pollen from and created the honey out of.
Right.
So you're more showcasing the honey in this way rather than relying on adjuncts like spices or apple or grape or anything like that.
So it's somewhat in the same realm as like a farmhouse ale, where wherever you have your in this case honey, rather than where you're brewing, it has the local flavor, the local nuances.
Right. Yep. And I guess like an apiary would control the flowers that they can pollinate and bring pollen from. So you get specific wildflower pollen for wildflower honey, things like that.
And that's something that Kingview supports in regards to keeping these apiaries going, so that obviously bees dying, it's a detriment to this industry because honey is the crucial ingredient to making mead. So they have a program, you can read about it on their website, kingviewmead.com, that is designed where some proceeds from sales of these bottles will go towards the apiaries to keep them going. Or is apiary the right word?
Yeah.
Make sure I'm saying that right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a colony that's producing honey. So,
helping the apiarists, right?
Yeah.
So, it's a great program that, again, it's helping preserve the most crucial element of making this product. So it's a good way to give back to keep that circle of life going. But you can, again, see how this helps by jumping over to their website and purchasing a bottle of Kingview Mead, having proceeds go back to that program it's a great thing. It's a great thing to keep this product coming to life.
Is that like a program that like all the meaderies in PA are a part of? Like is Laurel and Apis and?
I cannot answer that.
Okay,
I'm not
I
sure.
was just wondering. Yeah, I know you're directly connected to Kingview.
No, that's okay. I mean, if they were, I would gladly tout them for and
Right.
applaud them for doing it. I'm not positive. I'm not
Okay,
looking
yeah,
to
that's
see
fine.
if those guys do it as well.
I was just trying to see if we could promote them as well.
Right, yeah.
So getting back more to Adam's original inquiry about, is it still a brew? There are like 4 ways you can make mead at the initial standing that kind of decide how much of a brew it is.
Okay.
So originally, kind of back in the older days, they used to pasteurize honey and bring it to a full boil. So you'd kill everything
Right.
that way. Nowadays, that's not as common though. A lot of people go with like no to low heat. So like low heat, you only need to run it at like a mixture of honey and water at like 150 degrees for 5 minutes.
Okay.
Just a little pasteurized, just a little bit, just a little tiny bit. A lot of other people just use no heat and they go with sulfite tabs,
Okay.
and that'll sterilize the alcohol mixture. And some people just go all natural.
And just hope for the best.
Yeah, because you can just do it that way, and as long as you sterilize your equipment the same way you would your homebrew stuff, you don't really have to worry about much.
Oh.
Like it's not going to get infected as long as you sterilize it and keep it, locked up.
Right.
I wanted to say locked up. I was like bunged up. I don't know.
Locked up sounds better. That
Yes.
flows off the tongue a little bit.
I'm all bunged up here.
I'm all bunged up. But yeah, so that's a lot of ways to just brew it in general, rather than having to rely on taking it to the boil and possibly losing flavor. There is another style that does somewhat rely on that though. It's called the Bochette, and that's using caramelized honey.
Oh, okay.
So that's where you actually burn your honey and then get the sugars out of it afterwards, and you get like toffee and caramel flavors out of it. So, just for some interesting numbers, I believe we mentioned this on the previous episode, but they've changed since. So there were only 30 meaderies in the 2000s, and in 2016 that's grown to 300.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's 500.
Yeah.
And there's 150 more that are opening soon.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. 17 are in PA.
Yeah.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, we got 17 meaderies. As we already mentioned, Kingview, Laurel Highlands, Apis, that's Pittsburgh local. A couple other places. Does Wiggle, they do a little bit.
I know at Threadbare, that's something they have plans to do mead up there. I don't know if they've done it yet. I don't think I've seen anything on the market. I know right now it's been very focused on their cider. But I know that was, because I think the business name is Threadbare Cider and Mead.
Right.
So it's in the plans at some point.
It'll get there.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, we have plenty of options in Pittsburgh. And I've noticed just looking at kind of like the quote unquote heat map of where meaderies are. We got a lot in PA, but there's also a lot in Ohio. There's a lot in New York. Basically everything from PA up to Maine looks pretty good with meaderies, and then on the West Coast, it's Oregon and California. They got a good number as well. Unfortunately, and I feel like this is something like the middle of the country should take advantage of with all the real estate.
Right.
There's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I don't know why that is. That should be something they should jump on.
I think it's important to point out there is growth, like you said. The number has grown exponentially. It's probably not as rapid as beer. I think.
Oh, no way.
I think that. Well, obviously, it's not as rapid as beer. But I think it's a more expensive product to make. So obviously,
longer to ferment.
Yeah, like it's great to see that the people that are doing it well, and it's not something that's being I don't want to say rushed to market, but I don't want to see somebody come in and put this on the lower scale because it's still getting traction right now. Because mead is, when I discovered it, it was a few years back, and I was instantly hooked. I like, wow, this is great, and this is probably not something I would drink all the time because I've never been a huge wine guy, and this is a very close cousin to wine, obviously.
Right.
But I felt this is a great alternative if I don't feel like a beer tonight. I could have a glass of mead, or in my case, a bottle of mead, and be completely content and happy with my choices. And I think that as more Americans start to realize that, a lot of it, as crazy as it sounds, I think mead companies have Bud Light to thank with their stupid ad campaign, the whole dilly dilly thing, where they started putting mead in a spotlight,
right?
Where people probably started going, "What is mead?" Or if they're at a grocery store and they saw a bottle of mead, like, "Oh, it's that thing I saw in that mass-produced Bud Light commercial."
I wonder if it's actually any good.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that turns some folks on to a new product, and for that and only for that, I will say thank you to Anheuser-Busch. But no, I think as it continues to get more into the spotlight, you'll start seeing more of these places open up. Probably never reach the level of the breweries, but I don't think they want to do that.
No, I think, like you said, it's a completely different thing. The same way like wineries don't try to compete with breweries.
Yeah, right.
Meaderies are completely different. And I can remember like the first time I had mead, it was probably, almost 10 years ago.
Back in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah.
I had just found this really awesome Viking mug at Goodwill. It's a real badass.
Oh, God, it was Kismet then.
Yeah, it was a real badass black mug. It had like this real sharp handle on it. It was awesome. It was awesome. Okay. So I was visiting the local wine and spirits, and I was just going through looking for something to drink, and then I just happened to find like mead. It wasn't by anybody local or anything.
Did you know that it was the Vikings drink?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
For sure I knew that. But
okay.
Yeah. I was just like, that totally makes sense. And I just picked it up and I was like, I'm just going to have like a Viking day today. But like I drank it and I got hooked. And then I think the next time I had it was at Brewing Up at Cure, the homebrew festival. And Apis was there in their very early days. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, wow, mead can be a whole lot more.
Yeah.
Than just like this, honey wine. Because like what I was drinking was a show mead. But then you get into Apis and they had like a habanero.
You start adding flavors to it. And like you can easily attest with this apple pie. Like that's something that, in talking to people that know mead very well, they've said like oftentimes if it's done right, it's going to take on that character almost exclusively.
Mm-hmm.
Like then obviously that's the intention. So it goes well beyond just your standard base mead or your standard sweet meads. You get something like this, like I said at the beginning here, liquid apple pie in your mouth almost. That cider, it's a different story, but again, it's taking on that flavor very strongly. Segment 3, we're going to have some Viking Grog, which is very close to what you've experienced before, but it's done with cranberry and juniper berry.
Neat.
Freaking delicious. And
juniper, that's a very Scandinavian ingredient.
That's how, I remember I had forgotten mead altogether because I read Beowulf in high school, and I heard it there. You dismiss these things because you forget 95% of them. I remember every party from high school, but all those books and shit, not so much. But when it was starting, and I think I was the same way. I know it was in an event, and I'm pretty sure it was Apis that I discovered, and I was like, wow, this is great. Yeah. And I've just continued to enjoy the drink ever since.
Yeah, I think anybody who's a craft beer drinker, and I would say especially if you're into the pastry boy, fat boy stouts like I am, you're going to find, a lot of sweet flavors, but like the flavors do stick out, like Jason was saying. Like they really come through because honey is more or less a neutral on its own, unless you get a strong flavor from the flower. Anytime you add adjuncts, you're going to get a lot of flavor out of it, and it's going to be showcased. So yeah, if you really like, that kind of stuff, check out Mead. I also find it's a good alternative as a person who hates wine. I like honey wine though.
Yeah, I agree. I've grown more of an appreciation for wine over the years, way more than when I was younger. And I mean, I always compared, like, wine always made me slur my speech even if I wasn't drunk. Mm-hmm. Like a couple glasses in, all of a sudden it just affected me way differently than beer did. And I mean, the story I always tell is I was at some exclusive dinner that I got invited to with a guy that used to be my mom's boss at the Lexus Club at PNC Park, and they only had wine. So I was 3 glasses of wine deep, and then all of a sudden we got asked if we wanted to go on a tour of the press box and all this shit. And I was like, let's do it. So now we're on this tour, and I want to ask questions about things, and maybe I could angle myself into a job. I can't even fucking talk.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've only had 3 glasses. This is what happens. This sucks. So I stayed away from wine for a while, but this was even before I discovered craft beer or really got into craft beer. Mm-hmm. I know I had a few at that point in time, but it wasn't really my jam yet. As my palate evolved over time, I started opening myself up and trying wines and appreciating them a lot more. So I think the Mead was just a natural addition to all of the things that I've enjoyed as I've gotten older, and will continue to do so.
Yeah, I've yet to cross that threshold. Wine always gave me a hangover and a headache, so I didn't love it. And I don't know, maybe it's just because I grew up drinking Boone's Farm that I don't have a good appreciation.
I don't recommend drinking 2 bottles of Apothic wine on New Year's Eve, because I had a really bad New Year's date once. That was I thought after dinner we were going to go back to her house, and I got 2 bottles of wine and had them in my car, and that's not what happened. So I went home with my 2 bottles of wine and just live tweeted the Rockin' New Year's Eve and drank 2 bottles of wine. And if you go back in the history of @Jason Cercone to I think New Year's 2013 or 14, there's some entertaining shit. Me bombed on Apothic wine. That hangover the next day was ugly. Ugly.
So there you go. If you want to do a deep dive into somebody's Twitter, but I don't know. I really enjoy what we've had so far tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think I'm going to be disappointed on the third one.
No, especially the way we've had these first 2 come out, and if you're saying that this third one is right up there with them, yeah, I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I'm ready for it too.
Sweet.
So I guess it's time to take a break, and we'll be back with segment 3 and a bit of fun.
Hey everyone, my name is Drew, and I host a podcast called Dudes with Brews on a Porch, where we let the drinks flow and the conversations go. Each and every week, me and a friend of mine, we sit down, we try a different craft brew, usually from the state of Wisconsin, and we just sit down and have a conversation. We talk about all aspects of life. Once a month, we talk about paranormal stuff, and we always have a good time. You can find our show, Dudes with Brews on a Porch, on iTunes, Google Play, and anywhere else you find your podcasts. Grab a cold one and hang out with us each and every week right here on the porch.
Welcome back. This, of course, is episode 10, Phenomenal 1 of the Hop Nation USA podcast. We're talking meads, we're talking beers, we're talking, what else are we talking? What is in the bottle for segment number 3, Jason?
We are moving on, as we had teased in the first couple segments. This is the Viking Grog. In my personal lineup of Kingview Meads, this is 1A. Like I said, it's hard to put 1 and 2 between the Happy Apple and this one, but this is the Viking Mead that is made with, Viking Grog, which contains grape, juniper berry, and cranberry.
Right on.
Yeah?
Right on. With the...
So, I mean, you can see the color
yes.
here, right? So
there's actual color to this one.
This has got to make you guys excited.
There's no denying.
Ooh, chug, chug, chug.
Oh, that's fancy.
Yeah, it definitely has a cranberry color to it. It looks, like a nice cranberry juice.
Yes.
Not terribly dark, more like a cranberry and vodka.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Looks like a cranberry and vodka to me.
So this is the true nectar of the gods.
Gods plural because it's Viking, and they
This makes sense, yes.
Right.
They worship many.
And it does not smell like a cranberry vodka,
No, it doesn't.
which is fantastic.
No, you definitely get the berry on the nose,
Yep.
for sure.
I guess it smells like juniper. I'm not quite sure what juniper is, but there's a smell I can't identify, so I'm going to call that juniper.
Now, for me personally, I mean, I get the grape on the back and the cranberry more on the front end of it. But I mean, I think what hangs around for me the most is the cranberry.
Yeah, the cranberry definitely hangs around. I do get the grape. It does have more of a wine traditional flavor to
Right.
it.
That's
Yeah,
kind of
for sure.
what I was thinking was this. It seems like something if you don't like wine or don't know anything about wine, start with maybe this.
Some training wheels. if
Yes,
you will.
exactly.
Because again, you've got those elements of wine, but it's still got more on the sweet side of it, where you could find yourself moving slowly into a Merlot after
Right.
this. Yeah.
Training wheels that aren't in a box or booned.
We've been booned again.
Look, I like that Hawaiian Hurricane. It's blue. All my drinking tastes are based on my childhood proclivities. Is it blue or green? Sure, I'll drink it.
I see no.
So what kind of meat is that? Red. Purple drink.
with the weird Kool-Aid mustache going.
But yeah, no, I like this one too. So okay, Kingview wins again.
3 for 3. See, I knew what I was bringing to the show was going to impress you guys.
Yeah. The other thing about this, I don't know if you mentioned it, but it's only 8.5%.
Yeah, so not too high ABV. Obviously, it's
On any of these, actually.
no. I mean, there's some the triple berry that Kingview does, and then they do some traditional wines as well, and they have a couple other sweet meads that are 12.5%. Those can be found on the shelves at Giant Eagle. You can find them on Kingview's website if you'd like to buy them online as well. But no, like a lot of the ones that I've been getting hooked up with bars and stuff like that are more in this 8.5% range. And the cider's even lower, 6.5%. So extremely drinkable, and like I said, a little dangerous because they can. It's hard to put the glass down.
Yeah.
And they'll sneak up on you when
I can attest to that.
when you least expect it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, it's exactly like drinking, like a big bomber of your favorite stout or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it's dangerous. But I don't know. I'm enjoying it. I'm not always the biggest fan of cranberry, but this is so nice and soft and a little bit of sweet that I'm
get
into
it.
I'm into it.
I get it. So while you're drinking a little bit, it's time for us to have a little bit of fun.
Okay.
And it's time for
All
us.
fucking time, you guys.
Yeah, no shit. No. No, it's time for us to make money.
Okay, make money.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
Okay.
So, of course,
Is this one of those Tom Haverford schemes from you can tell by the reference I'm into Parks and Recreation right now. I've been watching it in my free time.
Back for the fourth time around.
Yep. At least.
food rakes, chicky chicky parm parm.
Zerts. Easily one of the most underrated, hilarious shows of
Oh,
all
no
time.
doubt.
Can we call this B-Booze?
Boots. So, we're making millions of dollars. So that means, of course, it's Wrestlemania season.
It is. We're right on the cusp of WrestleMania. If you're listening on a Friday, as you should.
Absolutely.
WrestleMania is on Sunday.
Take over tonight.
Take over tonight.
So that means that it's time for Hop Nation to start their own wrestling promotion.
That's the cool new thing to do.
So let's do that.
AEW's.
I can't wait. And that before we get into our promotion, I can't
Yeah.
wait for AEW to.
I'm really interested in to see what comes of it.
I think there's going to. I mean, they've got the money, they've got the talent, they've got Cody Rhodes running it. I mean, he's got it in his blood. The ability to.
Oh, I didn't realize that Cody Rhodes was running it.
Yeah, he's the executive
Yeah.
vice president.
Ah, very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, it's him and the Young Bucks.
yeah.
Are both or all three. Consider the Young Bucks a person. Yeah, all
one
three of them are
entity.
in control of creative. Like they're apparently not really looking to hire writers.
Nope.
Oh.
Yeah, because
it's gonna. Well, that's why I'm excited because I think it's gonna be a lot of flashback to the old days. You're gonna get traditional wrestling booking.
A lot more of the regional stuff.
Yeah, you're going to get guys that are going to come out and actually cut their own promos, and they're going to come from the heart, and there's going to be true emotion. It's not going to be some scripted bullshit like Baron Corbin reads on Raw every fucking Monday night.
It's going to be the cream of the crop.
It's gonna, and that's one of the biggest things I felt wrestling's been lacking for the past 5-10 years is that it's so scripted and formulaic. It's not as entertaining as the product used to be because these guys aren't organic with what they're doing in the ring. Stone Cold Steve Austin interviews. I mean, you think of that time he drove the Coors Light truck out, and that promo he cut on The Rock about driving right down to their burning SmackDown hotel to the ground. Like that had to be pure Stone Cold and it got such a pop.
Yeah.
I can't wait for wrestling like that.
Yeah, and one of the other best promos I remember is The Rock right before the Armageddon Hell in a Cell, and he just drops impressions of every opponent, and it's the funniest thing.
Yeah, this is not what you see anymore.
No.
And that's where I think AEW has got a real opportunity to capture the wrestling fan that's like me, that loves, like, I love WWE Network for the nostalgia. I like to go back and watch old stuff from back in the day when wrestling was fantastic, and I'd actually gotten to this, I don't want to call it an argument, but a conversation with a friend of mine that he's saying is like, you're just watching it and lying to yourself that it's going to be what it used to be. Like, well, this coming along has a chance to make it close.
Yeah.
We'll see. But
Yeah, you have to wait and see, because I mean, when's their Double or Nothing is in May. That's their first.
That's their first pay-per-view, I believe. Yeah.
So I think Double or Nothing is in May. They've actively said that they're not trying to jump on like WrestleMania weekend coattails.
Makes sense.
That
Like
does make sense. Separate themselves.
Right. So they're just going to try to do their own thing as much as they can, and I'm excited to see what comes of it, because they do have a lot of good talent. I watched the All In pay-per-view when they did
God,
that.
they got Omega. They've got Jericho.
Yeah.
And they're looking to get JR on commentary.
Ooh,
Right.
I'm in on that right
Yeah,
there.
right? Like, I
That's
mean, they're
sold.
making the right moves, and I think they've got a lot of momentum going in their favor, so I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. But I think it's time we start our own, though.
Yes.
We have to compete with them, competing with WWE, competing with ROH, competing with AAA.
New Japan.
Yeah.
Well, I think just us doing a half-hour segment is going to put us above TNA. So.
Well, yeah, some people watch Impact, I guess. Some. But, I want to start our own craft beer-based wrestling promotion.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. If anybody watched Lucha Underground, that was a very interesting take on wrestling, because it was very story-driven and everything, but it was focused on a lot of, mythology. Mm-hmm. So I think instead of mythology, we can focus on zythology.
There's a $4 word.
Yeah. But I think we can build a promotion around craft beer,
Okay.
but we just need to start the building blocks.
Yes.
So
So is this going to be like... I was a little unclear on this, and I didn't ask, because I figured I'd just let it unfold. Is this like the beers are going to be wrestling each other?
No. This
isn't the Bud Bowl.
No.
Well, that's why I was wondering. I'm like, are we doing the fucking Bud Bowl?
No. We need people to represent breweries. We need we need wrestlers with gimmicks that are beer themed.
Right, but put a Post-it note on that Bud Bowl thing, just in case.
A Post-it note? All right.
Yeah, you can post it up, and then
That's good, because I'm out of pins.
I think we need brewery sponsorships. We need things on tap. Like when you go to the KSWA, they have some craft on tap at the Spirit Lounge. But it's also a lot of PBR.
Yeah,
I think we need to make this a full, experience. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm thinking back to the old days at Grist House before they got too full. But now maybe in the new Grist House, we can set up a ring by the tanks. That's our Madison Square Garden.
There's plenty of room for it.
Yeah.
There.
All right. Somebody start making some phone calls here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you lead the way.
Yeah.
Right.
I think we also need some talent.
Okay.
I think one of the ones we should try to pull away is Pete Dunne. He's currently wrestling in NXT UK. Pretty fantastic. But he already has the nickname of the Bruiserweight.
Oh,
I
like that.
That's bruises, as in, punching.
That's an easy change.
But when we bring him into our craft beer promotion, it's Bruiserweight with brewing.
I like it.
So he'll be our star.
Now, and we've already got our local guy, too.
Yeah.
Adam Zane from Fury.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Hour.
Yeah.
So there's our local connection. So
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's own Happy Hour. Although I don't think he's from Pittsburgh, but for the sake of our
of
our federation,
He's here.
Yeah.
But he's got that clout with Fury.
Mm-hmm.
So like he can fly the Fury banner. We can find different breweries to be represented.
Well, why doesn't he just start a faction? The Fury faction.
Or a Greensburg faction.
There you go.
You could start that too. The GWO. the Greensburg World Order.
Jesus.
No, he's not in that faction. That's a whole other thing.
Regular Jesus or heavy metal Jesus?
So if they do that, they're going to need some matches. Mm-hmm. They're going to need some good matches to bring people in.
And that's how we differentiate ourselves,
Yes.
by putting on gimmick matches that are outside of what you regularly see.
And oh boy, do I got gimmick matches.
Oh boy, all right, Russo, let's go.
God, I can just hear this podcast being shredded by Jim Cornette right now as we speak.
Keg on a pole.
Keg on a pole.
No,
No, I would think it'd be more like malt stir on a pole. And
Oh,
then
there you go.
Yeah.
Then you can use it on your opponent when you climb up to get it.
so the first one we're having is the barrel-aged match.
Okay.
So that is that is similar to a marathon match or an Ironman match, I should say. So it is a minimum 45 minutes before any pins count.
Okay.
Similar to a barrel age where it has to be a long process.
Okay.
However, if you're able to get up to 8 pins before that 45-minute mark, pins start to count.
Okay.
So if you get above the 8, similar like a lot of barrel-aged beers have that high ABV. Once you
Yeah.
get up above 8 or 9, things really start to count.
Yeah.
It's the same way. So you have to have that longevity or you get pinned a whole lot.
Okay.
Barrel-aged match.
All right. I got one.
Okay.
It's a broken bottle match. I'm talking CZW, old school.
Okay, Ian Rotten, what do you got, buddy?
Old school Japanese death match.
I like it.
Shit. So, the back in the day, the Japanese death matches, that also featured Cactus Jack and Terry Funk. There was a lot of gimmicked things where if you got thrown out of the ring, there were quote unquote bombs, and they
Okay.
would just explode, and the whole ring would explode. Things like that.
Totally realistic.
Totally realistic.
Right.
Same sort of thing we're going with. We're going to line around the outside of the ring with broken bottles. Now, these will be gimmick, and they'll be the sugar bottles
Of
that
course,
you see.
of course.
But yeah, if you get thrown out of the ring, you fall into a pile of broken bottles.
I'm visualizing the scene from Van Wilder where they're, relax, guys, it's just Doritos. I got one.
Okay.
Brewhouse Brawl. Similar to the bunkhouse brawls in the old NWA days. Come as you are.
All right.
They were usually dressed with jeans and knee pads. It was a hell of a look.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much anything goes, no disqualification. I could see that happening around some brewing equipment.
Absolutely. You get to use the mash paddle again.
There you go. Yeah, hoses getting wrapped around people's
Yeah.
necks, and
That's that more of that hardcore backstage.
I like
shit.
that. So I've got another one.
Okay.
This is the can release match.
All right.
that happens every Saturday in Pittsburgh.
I know. So it starts out, you have 24 competitors
Okay.
at the top of the ramp.
Yeah.
However, only the first 8 that get into the ring actually get to start the match.
Man, I think there was actually a match in TNA. There was like a reverse Royal Rumble match that they had where everybody had to start outside the match. Or outside the ring.
They were big on that. Like King of the Mountain was that way. You
Yeah.
had to climb the ladder to put the belt on the hook.
Right. Just do
That's how
everything
you
reverse.
So we're not done yet.
Okay.
Because this is once everybody is in the ring, it is a double elimination match.
Okay.
So after you get eliminated the first time, the other 16 competitors can try to buy their way in.
Oh.
By any means necessary. That could be cash. That could be title fights.
Oh, okay.
Grudge matches.
Oh.
Cash, anything like that. So you can
Anything to jump the line.
exactly
Knowing a person. Having a tag team partner in there.
right.
There you go.
Who the fuck is watching this?
Drunk people. Drunk people, Jason. Come on.
The same as the ones that are recording it.
Right.
That's fantastic.
So I had another idea. I had an idea for a title as well.
Okay.
So there was a title in Lucha Underground, and the point of the title was you had to collect 7 medallions, and then you put them all together, and then you get the title, and then the title could be traded in for a world championship match. I think we want to do the same thing, but it's only 4 medallions: 1 for water, 1 for barley, 1 for yeast, 1 for hops.
I think you could keep the 7 alive, but do 7 different hops.
Could do that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just collect them all, and then you get a shot at the the top title, whatever we call that.
And I don't have a name for that.
No, I don't have a name for it either. It's just an idea.
The Bruniversal Championship, guys.
Oh, that's pretty easy.
Damn it. Yeah, you're right.
It's like you've never planned a beer wrestling federation before.
Don't yell at me. I'm new. So, of course, we have to have our welterweight division.
Okay.
So that means we're going to have our nano brew division.
Oh, okay. the nano weight.
The nano weight.
All right.
That's a throwaway.
That's
I
just
just like that
throwaway.
one.
Just a little.
I just like that one.
Just the little guys. Just have a throwaway.
Have you ever gauged when your listeners stop listening to your show? If there's any point in that, is there
No, full
Right
episodes.
about.
They're in.
Yeah, full episodes.
Okay.
All the time. Again, most of the people, like you said, most of the people listening are drunk, so they just pass out and the episode runs. It's even better on Spotify because a couple episodes will run.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think these are pretty good. I think the only thing we need to add is a commissioner, and I would like to add Bret Hart, but because it's a completely different promotion, we got to change his name. Mm-hmm. So he'll be an Irish character called Brett O'Miases.
Oh man,
WrestleMania.
Brett O'Miases. That's as bad as Incisor.
I know.
So
When do people stop listening? Now.
That would be your cue, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. Before you go, listen to the Breaking Brews podcast. New episodes every Wednesday. So we got a shot. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Did you have more? I didn't want to.
Oh, no. Go ahead. What?
Oh, no. I was going to say, are we shotgunning some WrestleMania predictions on this segment as well, since we're in
Sure,
wrestling
why not?
mode?
yeah, we can do that.
Well, I didn't know. I'm not cutting off your federation.
No.
I mean, we have to get funding and everything, too,
Yeah.
so you better get the whole plan out there.
Yeah. No. I think we're good. I think, we've lined up our commissioner. We've got our star in the bruiserweight. We've got our broken bottle and barrel age matches.
Right. And I think our weekly show is going to have to be Monday Nitro. I don't think anybody's ever used that before.
No, that's fine.
I like that.
Monday on Nitro.
That's the only way you could enjoy that show back in the day.
But so WrestleMania predictions. Who do you have? What match are you looking forward to the most, Jason? And what's your prediction on that?
Well, I mean, it's actually split, and it's probably at least one of them I think is off the map in regards to what most people are looking for. But I think AJ Styles and Randy Orton's going to be great. AJ's proven that he can carry a match, and Randy Orton is no slouch. And I think that you're just going to see two styles that are different. And I feel the same way about Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio. It's just two different styles that are going to come together to tell a good story. But yeah, Orton and Styles, it's hard to predict which one will win, but I'm going to go with Styles. Mm-hmm. And of course, the women's match, because I think that's been the best build, the triple threat for the main event. Becky Lynch has become, without question, one of the most over popular stars in the business. She gets the Stone Cold path.
Yeah, she's as big as Stone Cold or Daniel Bryan was back in WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job positioning her. It's logics that she's got to walk away with both championships. I mean, the thing that could scare you is the name Flair.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no slouch, but come on, Becky. This has got Becky's victory all over it.
Yeah, I think the fact that Charlotte got her 8th title win before WrestleMania kind of leads me to not believe that they'll give her the WrestleMania win.
Yeah,
but
I agree with you there.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the Samoa Joe Rey Mysterio match could be a real I'm interested in that one a lot.
Yeah,
just because they're both it's interesting how they're both a little bit older. Rey's a lot older.
Yeah.
But Rey has been in the best shape he's been in forever.
Right.
And it's amazing. Especially his matches with Andrade were
great.
Incredible.
And what Joe can do for his size is just incredible. So yeah, that'll be a great match. What do you think of Triple H and Batista?
Wait.
I don't think much of it.
Yeah. This is the part where we flash back to 10 years ago. They want their match back.
Yeah.
Are they really?
Yeah, that's happening. And no disqualification.
All right.
So I think the no disqualification opens it up for something else, maybe. I don't know. But I think in general, it might kind of be a little bit of a lazy match. Triple H, he can still kind of go. Batista hasn't been in the ring since they were fighting with the Shield.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was 4 or 5 years ago at least.
Yeah. I think Batista's going to win, though. I think Triple H, what he's done on the business side of the WWE has been fantastic. Mm-hmm. And what he's accomplished in the ring speaks for itself. I don't think it really needs to go beyond this match. So he could easily do the job, and we've learned that retirements mean nothing.
Right.
If he wants to come back in 8 years like HBK did,
True, but it is,
it is what it is. But I think that, I was, thinking about that match, I was thinking, logically, Batista winning it makes sense because he's going to go away. He might as well go out on top.
It's a good
Triple
out.
H is still going to be involved. Yeah, it's a great out.
Yeah, it's a good out for both of them. So yeah, being that Triple H is like way more involved with NXT and everything,
right?
I think they were probably going to try to just not keep him off camera, but like don't get people excited for him wrestling anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, he's down to what, 2 or 3 matches a year? At best?
Pretty much.
Yeah. It's usually their Saudi Arabia shows.
Yeah, and that's
WrestleMania.
And if you look at how they positioned it when he wrestled it, was it Australia and Saudi Arabia, right? Mm-hmm. Those shows were all new to those markets.
Right.
They're going to come back. I think they signed a 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia, so they're going to be there.
Right.
They don't necessarily need the star power of Triple H to put that show over because now they've built a little bit of an audience there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I also think with the Saudi Arabia shows, they paid to see certain stars. So, like that, when they had that Greatest Royal Rumble, they had, they paid to see Chris Jericho. They paid to see Rey Mysterio, who wasn't a part of WWE at that point.
Right.
They paid to see The Undertaker.
They just threw money at it.
Yeah, they're like,
right.
Have money. We're going to sit, in our plush couches and keep the plebs away from us.
But now, to go back on this prediction and throw the potential swerve, does Ric Flair get involved?
See, that's why I think might happen.
Thing?
Yeah. That's why I think might happen. Yeah.
One way or the other, and the swerve would be he helps Batista, and that was all a big, big schmaz.
Yeah, a big show.
Beat the shit out of him.
Yeah. But could be interesting. I don't know. I'm in generally I'm excited for WrestleMania more so than past events because I think the matches are going to be really good. Mm-hmm. Like the women's main event is going to be good. Brock and Seth should be good. Like they can both work their asses off.
Yeah,
and I think they will.
Yeah,
and Daniel Bryan and Kofi will definitely be good.
That will probably be the match of the night. I think that's going to tear the house down.
Yeah,
that's going to be phenomenal.
Yeah. Unlike AJ Styles, unfortunately, he'll just be regular phenomenal. But
I think when you look at like AJ and Randy Orton are teetering on that border of they've got their own match, or they could have been in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, where it's just a bunch of guys that are.
Yeah. I think they're both way too big for that to get stuck like that.
Yeah, but it just goes to show. I mean, when you look at that lineup of wrestlers that in that battle royal, it's the land of failed pushes or almost got pushed, but not quite. But then you got Braun Strowman. Like,
yeah,
I heard he's got some serious heat backstage. He's not the most easy guy to get along with, and that may be why he's being bumped down the card a little bit. Because dude was wrestling Lesnar at pay-per-views several months back. So,
but if you're gonna have a battle royal, you almost always need some giant in there.
Yeah,
and being that
Colin Jost.
Yeah, that dude's like 7'2", isn't he?
Wait a minute.
No. No.
Dude, you know that, right? Colin Jost and Michael Che from Saturday Night Live are in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. You didn't know that?
No, I didn't know
yes,
that.
that's happening.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They've been building that up for weeks.
Yeah. I think that whole angle, also with bringing Batista back, I think that's all just a clever ploy to find a way to get Scarlett Johansson in the audience.
Yeah.
Because she works with Batista as an Avenger, and she dates Colin Jost. So if they can find a way to get her in the audience and then film her on camera, eventually they can induct her into the Hall of Fame. That's a real big. That's a real big get to get. We got Scarlett Johansson.
Speaking of that, there's no celebrity this year, right?
I don't think so. No,
that's the first time in several years.
Yeah,
which is fine because I always thought that was stupid.
Right. The minimal interaction.
Right.
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger appeared a couple times on camera.
Well, who needs a celebrity when you've got Brutus the fucking Barber Beefcake getting inducted into the Hall of Fame? Good times.
Also good times is this Viking Mead by Kingview.
Agreed.
It's good.
It is good. 3 for 3 is what I'm going to say here.
Yeah. I don't get to drink mead a whole lot, but when I do, I appreciate it.
Trying to do this.
It appreciates you.
I appreciate you. And that's what I appreciate about you.
Well, because of your Andre the Giant imitation, I owed you guys something for the show.
Yes.
Because I mean,
And somehow we just went a whole segment about wrestling without doing it.
yeah, that's true. Honestly, though, let me ask you: would you have done that imitation for an entire episode if I would have bought you beer for 5 episodes? Because that was the original tweet.
I mean, it was a bit of a waiver.
You guys actually talked about this?
It was a waiver just because it's like maybe.
Yeah, I
But
wasn't gonna stop him.
We we thankfully got enough interviews coming up that we don't have to.
I just think it's good, but if it would have kept going, it would have just been like
It's rough. Yeah, it's rough.
yeah.
Which really, that impression is just stolen from comedian Dan Soder, who does it even better.
And without question,
And he doesn't do it for an hour.
the best Randy Savage imitation,
Absolutely.
ever.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah, no. Oh, madness. Yeah. Ooh. Nobody does it better than Dan Soder.
Never. That's not even worth trying.
Yeah. But, yeah.
What is worth trying are these Kingview Mead and
Oh,
ciders.
segue.
All right, let's do that. Let's bring it back to
Yes, let's bring it back. We're talking about this Viking grog, of course. We talked about it a little bit already. It's
Yep.
good. It's got that cranberry taste. It's got what I assume is juniper.
Right.
It's
If
just
you
like
can't-
Steve. I don't know what juniper tastes like either,
Can't identify it, so it must be that.
Yeah.
and it must be good.
and like I said, to me, the grape. I get.
Yeah, I do
get
get a
grape
lot.
out of it.
I do get a lot of the grape.
Yeah, this is definitely something that if you're trying to get into wine but you don't know where to start, honestly, try with this.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yeah, it's lower ABV and it's a lot more forgiving than some really dark wine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that, I think it's time that we go to the podium.
Okay.
Steve, why don't you start us off?
Sure, I'll go. I am going to start with the 4-Peck cider. It's not technically mead, so it gets bronze. But it's really good though. We've already said everything that we had tonight was really good. Everything is really drinkable, and surprisingly so. Like when you hear wine, it's not something you think that you're going to pound a lot of, but we've pretty much put all these down pretty quickly. But yeah, the 4-Pack Pina Colada cider, it's really good. It's nice and drinkable. It's something nice for a summer day, but it has a little bit of a sweetness to it that I don't think I would drink a whole lot of. I could maybe drink 1 bottle, but maybe not 2.
We're doing this on the amount of bottles you can drink levels.
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, well, usually we do it by the number of cans we can crush.
Valid point.
Yeah. Tonight they're all big wine bottles, so I got to go by the number of bottles I can do. Viking Grog, again, another 1 bottler, but I like the sweetness. I like the complexity of the flavors. I like that it's not as sweet as the cider. But yeah, it's still just a really nice and interesting, and it's also something that I feel like you can serve anytime. You could serve it with fancy meals. You can kind of, trick people to think like, hey, this is real fancy stuff. This isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, it
Put
is.
those whoppers on a nice doily.
Right.
Good to go. Nice glass of mead right next to it.
Mead and Taco Bell. That is the life I live.
Oh, don't threaten me with a good time.
But yeah, I just, I like the complexity of these flavors a little bit more than the Pina Colada. And gold is going to go to the apple pie. This, the Happy Apple Pie by Kingview. That's a really good blend of everything in there. Like the cinnamon flavor is really on point. It smells really good. Like it smells inviting. And it doesn't taste like that jarred apple moonshine is the other thing. Like you can tell everything in this is fresh. It's, actually produced locally when you look into it. But everything's fresh and it tastes good and it tastes, natural. It doesn't taste like artificial booze. So
the adjuncts that really jump out and you're like, yeah, this is not right.
Yeah, everything about this is right. So, and again, we've already talked about how it could just pair with breakfast, pair with Thanksgiving. It goes with everything. Or it can go with a summer day. It doesn't matter. This goes well with everything. So yeah, gold is Happy Apple Pie for me.
Right on.
Apple. Adam?
So
Apple.
I'm not Gwyneth Paltrow's kid. So for me, in the bronze medal position, I am actually going to go with the Viking Grog. Reason for this is I'm going to take this as an approach of how many opportunities can I think of to drink this and this being appropriate. For me, the Grog is going to kind of, it's a little bit limited for what it is. Yes, it's very good. I like it. I think it's a very good drink to kind of bring people into an area that isn't beer. But it just didn't have quite the versatility of the other two. So for the silver medal position, I am actually going to go with the Happy Apple Pie. I really like that. It is a fantastic fall drink, I think. When the leaves are being, nice and crunchy, you have a good campfire going, something like that. It's going to be absolutely aces. But I don't think it is a full year-round drink. I think it is slightly limited. So for me, in the gold medal position, I'm going with the 4-pack, the hard cider. And I might be a little bit biased because it's getting into springtime, and I want a springtime drink. So that might be where my bias is coming from. But I thought this is a fantastic drink for any time between April 1 until October 31. You can have this anywhere, anytime, and it'll be great. It'll be absolutely appropriate, and I could do that again and again and again. So there you go.
All right, down to Jason.
Well, I think my picks pretty much mirror what Steve had to say. In the bronze position, I'm going to put the 4-pack cider, only because it's I don't even want to say just because it's not a mead, because that's not the case at all. I'm going strictly on the three that we drank, and I've pretty much said this a few times already through the show. Happy Apple Pie and Viking Grog are two of my absolute favorites from Kingview, which was why I brought them with me tonight. But yeah, to echo what Adam just said about 4-pack, it's a great drink that anytime the weather is warm, it's a great, refreshing, just easy sipping drink, indoors or outdoors. It's the type of drinking it's to kick back with on the patio, on the deck, at a bar with your friends. Does not matter. It's perfect for this time of year, and that's why I put that in the bronze, because, again, I'm so partial to these other two, and I'm going to put the Viking Grog in the silver position because, as I said, trying to pick a favorite between that and Happy Apple Pie is very difficult, but I'm going to stick to the allegiances that I've built for this brand and these two meads since day one. So Viking Grog in the silver position, but a super, super close second to the Happy Apple Pie. Happy Apple Pie to me, again, I've done it with so many different varieties of food, with breakfast, I've done it with Thanksgiving food. It's just such a great complement to those platters. And not saying the Viking Grog isn't, but what I've been able to do with the Happy Apple Pie and enjoy the experiences with, that is why I will put that one in the gold position. So Happy Apple Pie in gold, Viking Grog silver, and the cider in bronze.
Right on. Well, those are your rankings. Jason, why don't you just keep it right on rolling and give us some more info about what's going on in your life? I know you just launched the Breaking Brews podcast.
Yeah, so I feel like every time I come on this show, I have something new. There's no consistency in my life, is there? But no, I know the last time I was here, I was talking about relaunching over a couple of beers. And when I got to thinking about the direction I wanted the podcast to go, I didn't want to do it like over a couple of beers was the first time, because I felt like you guys are doing a show where you drink beer and review beer. Doug Durda with Should I Drink That is doing that as well. The weekly recap. Nick Adams, those guys are doing the same. I just said those guys, didn't I? Yeah. Nick and I believe it's his brother. They're doing. We've had a bunch of mead, ladies and gentlemen. They're doing something very similar. I didn't want to do what you guys are already covering very well, so I actually stumbled upon a podcast that focused more on the business side of beer, and that's where I've been looking to take Breaking Brews as a whole, is focusing more on the beer industry, from sales, marketing, culture, you name it. Brewing. On my podcast, I've had Brian Reed a couple of times already. We talked about the Cicerone program. So that really inspired me to take it a different direction, and I wanted to keep everything under the Breaking Brews flag. So instead of doing over a couple of beers, I decided to go a different direction. So the Breaking Brews podcast is now live. As you're hearing this, if you're listening to it fresh. There are 9 sessions of the show live. You can pick that up on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. That always confuses me because I don't know what they're calling it anymore. Also on Google Play, on Spotify, and on Stitcher. Also breakingbrews.com/podcast. It's a fun show, and you'll learn a little something with each episode, and it's going to be weekly. Every Wednesday, new episodes drop. If you've already listened, thank you very much. If you haven't yet, jump over now and check out the episodes. Drop me a review and a rating on iTunes. What's the saying, you guys? It's a 6-star podcast, but they only give 5. I've got one of those too. So, yeah.
Supposedly. But yeah, no, definitely check out Jason's show. I've listened to a couple episodes. I find it, where, like you were saying, like we do reviews and we do news and we do, things like that. Whereas our show, I think, is good for new drinkers. I think if you're in the biz, you'll really find a lot out of Jason's show.
Yep, absolutely. That's the goal. I mean, obviously, even if you're not in the biz, if you're just an enthusiast and you want to know more about craft beer, there's a lot of tips and pointers and ideas, and the information that we're sharing can help you do just that. But if you're in the industry, whether you're seasoned or you're brand new, maybe you're looking to start a bar or a brewery, each week we're trying to drop some knowledge that's going to help you do it in a good way. So tune in, share with your friends, and have a blast.
Yeah, especially if you're like in a smaller market. So some of these smaller breweries seem to be struggling with a lot of their promotion and.
Yeah, I know I've talked about this on my show that it's been more sporadic than I've wanted it to be, just because I've been busy with a lot of things at this juncture. But I'm trying to follow every brewery in the country on Instagram and on Twitter. And in doing that, I've stumbled across some very good promotion, and at the same time some very bad promotion.
Yeah.
And actually, I'll plug this now because it is live on my site. If you're looking for some assistance with social media, I've put out a new Jumpstart program. You can learn more about it at breakingbrews.com/jumpstart. It's meant for businesses that are looking to develop a plan for how they can attack their social media practices and work on their overall marketing initiatives, but may not know the best way to approach it. So it's a very simple program to get involved with. It's very low cost, and it allows us to partner up and work on some things together. So happy to help in any way I can. So breakingbrews.com/jumpstart.
Really cool. Really cool. Any other events? I know you like to promote house events that you go to every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a great relationship with Danny at the bottle shop at Hal's. Right now, we don't have anything on the schedule, surprisingly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I'm up there usually once a month with one of the brands that I work with. So in addition to Kingview, I also work with Spoonwood, Levity, Noblestein, and 4 Points, all local breweries here in Pittsburgh, and of course the local meadery. We've had events with all 5 at Hal's, and they always go over very well. He's got a tremendous crowd up there. The Rare Beer Club that he's built is one of the most genius ideas.
I used to go in there every now and then when I was dating out in that area, but but yeah, I love Hal's Bottle Shop.
Yep.
One of my favorite things about them was when I was going there, they have the Castile glasses in the proper Castile glassware that's actually a castle as the stem.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if they still have them, but they had them when I was there, and I drink Castile. So
yeah. And the bar's always a great atmosphere too, right next door. Always a good crowd up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, highly recommend checking out Hal's.
Cool. Well, if you want to find us on social media, all you have to do is search Hop Nation USA, and that'll get you Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to listen to brand new episodes of the Hop Nation USA podcast every Friday, as you should, then all you have to do is search Hop Nation USA in your favorite podcatcher like Stitcher, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and now Spotify. And if you're an Apple Podcast, leave us a 5-star review because
Jason already covered it.
Shit. Stolen thunder.
Well, I have to add, and before we wrap up, I do want to ask, I forgot to bring this up earlier. So you kicked off episode 100 saying you were the 3rd best pod. So who do you have ahead?
Oh, we don't know. We just leave that ambiguous.
Oh, that's okay. So that's open for interpretation.
Yeah, we leave that ambiguous so the rest of you can fight about it.
Okay.
The rest of
I'm not going to lose any sleep over that. I don't give a shit.
It's a lot easier for us to call 3rd. That way, nobody's going to fight us for 3rd. Everybody will fight for 1 and 2.
We call the hump.
That's right.
Fair enough. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks for coming
again
on.
for thanks for coming on again. You'll be back probably for at least WrestleMania.
SummerSlam, probably. Yeah, it's quarterly. So every time there's a big wrestling pay-per-view, hey, let's get Jason to come talk.
Jason will come talk wrestling with me. Adam doesn't watch wrestling anymore.
Sorry.
But yeah, you'll be back for SummerSlam, and maybe we'll have some other events and things to talk about. Talk about Fresh Fest because we can't get drinking partners on.
Yeah, actually, I've been talking with Dave. Him and Mike Potter are going to be on my show pretty soon.
Oh yeah,
not sure exactly when. We're still working on a date, but yeah, I want to.
Right on.
Going to be a lot of good talk about just what they're doing. Because they're doing some fucking phenomenal
fantastic
shit.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's absolutely something that's needed for our industry. So, tackling that diversity subject is never easy, but I'm looking forward to talking with them about it. And
they're doing it in the best and most fun way.
Yes, they are.
Just doing an actual beer fest, and like we already mentioned earlier in the episode, representing black-owned businesses within Pittsburgh.
Fuck
So,
yeah. Hats off to them.
Yep. All right. Well, Adam, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
Okay. Thanks, Kingview. We got all silly. That's episode 101. We'll be back next week, and I'll preview it. We'll be at Southern Tier down in Pittsburgh.
So stay tuned for that one. That's going to be a big episode.
Episode 102, Southern Tier. Okay, bye.